I'm Tony Ruiz of Gold Derby here with Aika Miyake and Maria Gonzales, the editors behind the FX series Shōgun. And and Aika, I actually want to start with you because you have a really interesting story about how you got this job. Is it
Right.
true? Is it true that you got this job basically through an Instagram direct message?
Yes. Yes, I found this the production post-production producer Jamie Wheeler. She contacted me through Instagram DM after finding the article that my friend wrote in back in 2019 when I left Japan to move to the States. She wrote Aika cannot find anything inspiring to edit in Japan. So she's moving to the US and like she likes to, try Hollywood kind of stuff. And that was like the article that Jamie found and she contacted me through Instagram. And yeah, I'm glad that she did.
Probably the most interesting job opportunity
I know.
for something that is this big. And so
Definitely.
coming into this, was this like, when you think about the scope of this series, is that intimidating or is it a challenge that you relish?
So like initially, Jamie and Justin didn't really tell me too much. Like they wanted to know if I could do the job, and then I really didn't know how big this production was, and day by day, like one by one, like dailies comes in, and I look at the like a production level, and like all of like things looked very expensive, and like I slowly found out like, oh, like this is probably actually kind of a big production. And I was like maybe like a 1 month thing, I really remember feeling like a little bit of like imposter syndrome type of feeling, like, oh, like am I gonna be okay? But like it actually, this type of feeling actually pushes me to do better job. So yeah, I'm glad it did. Yeah.
So Maria, explain kind of how this collaboration, along with with Thomas, your other editor. I mean, how does this work? Are you guys assigned individual episodes, or how does it all work?
Yeah, that's been my experience in TV. You basically come on a show and they tell you, you got these episodes. I was given the pilot, and then by default, episode 4, 7, and 10. And Aika and Thomas were going to cut everything in between. But then in the end, I got really busy. I think it was really episode 7 that was supposed to lock, and we were already in shooting 10. So I wasn't going to have time to work with the director. And that's when Jamie asked me, like, are you okay with kind of tag teaming this episode with Aika? So we ended up working on it together and we shared credits on 10.
Well, and 10 is the episode that you both have submitted for the Emmys. It's the episode that uh, I think what's so amazing about this episode is that even though it is kind of the climax of the series, there is so much interpersonal tension. And so in the editing room, how do you go about creating that tension?
Well, Ike and I don't talk to each other. No. No, just kidding. We actually we actually spent quite a bit of time talking with each other, either on the phone. Initially we didn't have an actual physical cutting room until about the first director's cut. But even then, we were only going to the cutting room if we had somebody to work with. So if the director was in, we would go in. And then eventually 6 months later down the line, Justin started coming in. So we were really all working from our homes. But Ike and I at the time lived fairly close to each other. So we would, meet for coffee and talk. And we talked on the phone all the time, actually. And when it came to 10, it was a true collaboration. I did most of the editor's cut. She did some of the scenes, and then she did almost the entire, she did the director's cut, basically completed the director's cut. And then once Justin started working on the episode, we started working together we were both in the room with him taking notes. And it wasn't like, this is my scene, this is your scene. It was more like, do you mind if I do a pass on this scene? I'd like to do a pass on the other scene, whatever. And it wouldn't really stop there. Like once we saw each other's cuts, you know, we were kind of, we were really okay with going back into scenes and changing things, you know. So, you know, there were sometimes things in the editor's cut that we were missing, sometimes things that got brought up in the director's cut that we're missing. So it was definitely a collaboration.
So this show has so many different elements to it in terms of, you know, it's basically being created for a Western audience, and yet it's so steeped in the history of Japan because these are all based on real characters. And Aika, how much about this story did you know going into it?
So I knew these samurai existed, like Toranaga, like the base. Toranaga is based on Tokugawa Ieyasu. He's a big samurai who studied Edo era. So you definitely learn in history class. So I know like a broad stroke of history, but I was never like a history kid. Like I didn't really. I wasn't really like good students for the history classes, and I really didn't know, for example, the Maria's character existed, or how Akechi family um, was like involved in all of the war and like uprising and everything. And those things I start reading right after I got the job. I start reading history, like Wikipedia and like history pages and some of the historical Japanese YouTube and stuff. And I really started to find like, oh, like actually, like Ieyasu was born like 20 minutes from my house where I was born, and and so that's the Toyotomi Hideyoshi, which is Taiko in our film, and yeah, all these like samurais actually like events happened around where I used to live and grow up. Like I just really felt like this is really ironic in a way that, you know, I moved to the States and I am forced to or have an opportunity to look back on my own culture and where I come from. And I think that was like really blessing for me to rediscover my own culture.
There's so many scenes that we could focus on, and I'm just curious if each of you has like a scene that you worked on, either together or solo, that you're particularly proud of.
Oh no, this question is always really hard, but yeah, like I was pretty proud of the translation scenes in episode 2 and like earthquake scene in episode 5. But yeah, like when I look back, like the whole thing, the Hiromatsu Seppuku scene in episode 8 was really mentally a little bit difficult as well. Um, um, just because like the weight of what the scene means, like all of the bushidos and Hiromatsu and Horanaga, the actors, Nishioka-san and Sanada-san, they have been working together for like past 30 years as actors in like many films, and I really felt like it was like epitome of like these two actors coming together to do this scene, and like really acting was so powerful. And also the relationship with the son and the father, the Buntaro and Hiromatsu, was so important for me to portray in the right way. And I really like lost sleep for like a week or two to cut this scene. So yeah, definitely this scene, it was like really memorable.
Right. I could draw on so many, you know, the pilot was so challenging that I'm really fond of my work on the pilot. One of my favorite episodes was episode 7 that I cut. Also, it had just tremendous, amazing mood. I love the director, Takeshi, who did it. But I guess I would bring up um, the final Yabushige scene in episode 10, Toranaga Yabushige. It's sort of the scene that the entire series culminates to. And it was lengthy on the page and super fun to put together. And then at one point, Justin really wanted to jumble it all up. It's almost even hard to track the changes that were made at that point. But one of the reasons I'm picking that scene in particular, other than, the significance for the show, it was really sort of the culmination of Aika's and my work together. I did one pass, she did another pass, and by the end, our styles blended seamlessly in that scene. And it was really something. I mean, I I did the editor's cut, she did the director's cut. Then when Justin gave us those sort of crazy notes, I did the first pass on that. Then she went in, said, can I like tweak things? And honestly, at that point, I couldn't even tell what was hers, what was mine. And it was really sort of a great endpoint to a great collaboration and friendship that we developed on this show.
Definitely.
The learning curve on this, because I read, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I've read that there are different kind of Japanese ways of speaking. There's like a more formalized language that's used by many of the characters here, and also balanced with, some of Yabushige's ad libs. And so what's the learning curve like on this kind of thing? Because I mean, for it to come through so clear for a non-Japanese speaking audience, and for us to track what these characters are saying so clearly, I feel like is a triumph of the editing.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't speak Japanese, but Aika can attest to this. Apparently the written Japanese was very poetic. And I believe it's used in the traditional shows, right? On TV in Japan, Aika?
Yeah, jidaigeki and stuff.
Yeah, we would always say it's like a Shakespearean version of Japanese. So people understand it, but definitely don't use it in everyday life.
As an English teacher, you're speaking my language now.
So yeah, it's for me, I was relying on the subtitles, and obviously for the non-Japanese speakers, those subtitles really were a way in. And I can say, we spend a lot of time on those subtitles. Subtitles were created in the cutting room. Initially, they were just, representing the script with the little adjustments based on whatever was done or decided on set. And then towards the end, actually when we locked picture, we spent hours and hours with Rachel and Justin and Erica, one of our producers, making sure that we got the exact right tone for every single line. There was a conscious effort not to put more than 2 lines of subtitles of text on the screen at once. More than 1 line, sorry. We never had 2 lines. So it had to be concise, but also in the spirit of the language. And it was a lot of work. And I think it probably is what added to the success of the show, because hopefully it made it more accessible.
Is there because this is such an epic, sprawling show, and yet at the same time it always feels so personal, it always feels so intimate. What were there discussions about how to balance the grandeur and the scope and still keep it, a very kind of almost intimate drama per se?
I think that's attest to, like, I remember exactly, like Justin was like feeling like this needs to like this show is not like a Game of Thrones. It is like a Game of Thrones, but it's not. And I remember like him focusing on more on like a comedy and a drama and like the life that happens in between. And like we wanted to showcase that more, and that was like a click for me when I was editing episode 2, that this is not like, it is epic and it is a grandiose, like a big production and like a story, but it's really about the character and like each journey, each character's journey to grow and like showcase like a multiverse, like layers of personalities. And like Yabushige, he's like one way, he's one day he's like reading the death poem, and then he's funny, and like, you know, like these complicated characters, it's not one way. And that was something really, really fun to be able to portray, and also like fun to like discover each character's like, oh, like this character has like this side of it and that side of it, you know. So it was really, really, really fun. Yeah.
You know, for us, we just had such amazing footage, and it's really, so much work was put in by everybody on the production side, that for us was just like, you know, kid in a candy store. What do we show and how do we really showcase this the best? So much work was put in before we even got on, and to not only plan these huge scope shots of Osaka, and you know, there were obviously going to be like big visual effects components to the show, but then also spend the time on the really small details, the literal small details, from the food to, you know, cutting fish or whatever it is, sort of more mundane things that people busy themselves with throughout the time.
Well, it's such a stunning achievement on every single level, and congratulations to both of you. Everybody go to goldderby.com, make your predictions for the upcoming award season, and stay tuned for interviews with more contenders in the coming weeks. Aika, Miyake, and Maria Gonzales, congratulations. Thank you both very much.
Thank
so
you.
much.